If the fence rests, let's lay it down. Gonna dig deep, wave that verdict round. The defense rests, time to analyze. With the evidence, we'll unveil the crime. Justice served in an honest fight. True crime tales till the verdict's right. Solving more than just trivial quests, where sentences rule at the defense rests.
Good morning all. Sorry, powdering my nose. Now it goes. I wasn't actually. How are we all? How are we? Did we have a great weekend? Anyone? No? Dust. It's all good. I'm organised now. Have my drink, check. Have my meal, check. Have my snacks, check. Have my sanity. Oh, fuck. Anyone seen my sanity? Hey, anyone? I've dropped it somewhere. It's got to be here. Good morning, sweet cheeks. Surprise. I thought you might like this one. Welcome back. Oh, I haven't put any makeup on. Haven't eaten my dinner. And again, I prepped for a trial to start today, and lo and behold, what happened? The fucker got transferred to me. So, yeah, back to the drawing board. So we whipped up a new one, and I mean whipped. Actually, I've just printed out my info. Hang on. I'm going to need that because I've watched it. Thank God for AI summaries. All right, so take a breath. It's better. Who's that coming? Could be Elizabeth or Udahef. Udahef, I'm tipping. And as I was doing the thumbnail for this, I'm like, it's got to be a comment in there. Got to be a hottie comment. I feel bizarre because I've rearranged my desk. My camera's in a different position and on a different angle, and I might have gone down to Kmart and bought some bits and bobs like that, the nice little heart LED light in the back there. Yeah. I got a stand for my iPad so that I can have that off the desk and see. Well, that gives me 3 screens then. I've got a stand for my phone, so that's off the desk and charging. Got all my cables sorted. So yes, I like organisation. And then something and then my mouse died last night. So luckily for me, I have been busy, yes. I was procrastinating with cleaning and tidying and sorting, and then my mouse died, and I'm like, fuck, I can't even do any work now. But thankfully, we have a 24-hour Kmart here, and they had some mice on sale for $8. So Jodie did a midnight run down to Kmart. I did put a bra on this time. You'll be happy to know. Yes. Because I hunted high and low. I turned this house upside down because I know I've got, well, I found another wireless one, but I couldn't find the little dongle thing that it connected to. So, yeah, I turned the place upside down. Never mind. But I did get a really, really good sleep last night. And I think the main reason that I'm a bit behind today is I slept until 4 o'clock this afternoon. So, yeah, shit happens. I've got to try and cram everything in and set up a stream in that time. Anywho, so this is a trial from 2021. Well, that's when it went to trial. The actual incident occurred in July of 2018. Now, this involves 20-year-old Mollie Tibbetts. She was an Iowa college student who used to go for a jog every night. She was part of the track team. It was part of her daily routine, and it was a familiar sight around the town. And this particular night was at the 18th of July. She went for her usual evening run, and it was the small town of Brooklyn in Iowa. But she never came home. So she was reported missing on the 19th of July. And I think it might have been a guy called Dalton Jack or Jack Dalton or something like that. I'm not sure. Oh, hello. Hello.
Hey,
Oh, shit. I'm not even on the screen. Oh, yes, I am.
I'm
Who are
not.
you? I just put you on.
It must be your layout.
Ah,
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Not too bad. How are you?
Do you still love me?
Thinking about it.
I know you're mad at me. I'm sorry. But you're my best friend, and I didn't mean to upset you.
I know. I just got so much going on at the moment that my health is, yeah.
Crap. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Don't cry, darling. It's all good.
I was trying to help, and I went too
know.
far.
I
I'm
know.
sorry. But I love you.
I know. Well, at least you can see exactly what. Well, you've acknowledged it, so that's great. That's fucking awesome. Thank you.
I'm very sorry.
It's all right, darling. It's all right. We'll work through it. We'll be right.
I didn't mean to.
All good. I know.
Hurting you was my last intention. Helping was my intention.
I know. I absolutely. That's why I'm still talking to you.
Thank
I know
you for not giving up on me.
No, I'm not like that. But thank you for apologizing. That's awesome.
I love you.
I love you too.
Thank
And
you.
everyone in chat's going, "What the fuck?"
We had our first friend fight. It happens.
Yeah.
And I'm a big weenie. I can't help but cry when I fight with friends.
Yeah.
Especially a friend as awesome as her. She's like, look, I'm gonna cry.
Why? Why am I so? What have I done?
Look, I'm going off camera because I'm gonna Britney Spears cry because I'm a baby.
I haven't even got any makeup on. I haven't had time to, so I can cry. Good morning, Christine.
Teresa's like, no, make me cry.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm sorry I'm a screw up, but I
You're
was
not.
really trying to help.
I know. Your intentions were absolutely good.
I didn't realize how bad the situation was. And when I saw it, upset me a lot. Is it fixed?
I think so.
Good.
But I'm going to have a break from Discord. I need to just chill.
Girl, who you telling?
Oh, yeah.
I created one for me.
Yeah.
I invited you. So,
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
All right. Well, I'll let y'all get back to your trial.
No worries. Thank you,
Y'all
sweetheart.
have fun.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Now, where was I? Now I'm hiding behind my name. Better. Yes. Don't go there, Teresa. Yeah, it was horrendous. Yeah, I'll fill you in later. So, Miss Mollie, 18th of July, 2018, goes for her run, doesn't return home. Now, there was video footage of a vehicle in the area that was seen numerous times driving back and forth along the area where she was running. And it was identified as, let me see, I can't read now, I've got water in my eyes. A dark-coloured Chevy Malibu. And they traced it back to a Mr. Cristhian Bahena Rivera. Now, initially, he denied even knowing Mollie, but later admitted that he did follow her. And I won't read anymore because I don't want to give away the story. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but it's actually listed on Court TV's all-time classic archive trials. It's one of those must-watch trials. Like, it's up there with the O.J. Simpson and, Depp v. Heard. Even though Depp v. Heard doesn't interest me at all. But, yeah, it's right up there. So it's supposed to be a good one. It goes for 7 days, which will be good. Because I am sick of covering and chasing bloody live trials at the moment that cancel at the last freaking minute. It's happened to me 2 weeks in a row, and I just thought we can do this at our own pace. We can enjoy it and listen to it and actually concentrate on it instead of rushing and trying to get through and keeping up with everybody else. Fuck that. We're going to do it our way, because that's how we started, and that's where I'd like to go. All right. So, shall we get into it? Let's do it. Now, hopefully
Thank you, Carrie. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, at this time, the attorneys will have an opportunity
I've skipped the initial jury instructions and we're going straight into openings.
to make opening statements. In doing so, they may explain to you what they believe are the issues in the case and what they expect the evidence will show. The statements which they now make and the arguments they will later make after all the evidence has been received is not evidence and may not be considered by you as evidence. Also, any statements that they make about the law is not to be considered as the law of this case. Since evidence often comes in piecemeal or out of chronological or logical sequence in the trial of the lawsuit, the statements of counsel are merely to put the facts in perspective. They are intended to give you a thumbnail sketch of the case and outline the evidence to better aid you in understanding the issues and the evidence. Therefore, please give them your complete and full attention at this time. Mr. Claver, on behalf of the state of Iowa, you may give your opening.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mollie Tibbetts. This case is her story. This case is a story of Mollie's disappearance and the story of Mollie's murder. Mollie Tibbetts was 19 years old, going into her sophomore year at the University of Iowa. She was home for the summer, and home for Mollie was Brooklyn, Iowa, a town of about 1,400 people in Powesheik County. Powesheik County is located about midway between Des Moines and Iowa City. And on July 18th, 2018, Mollie was house sitting for her boyfriend, Dalton Jack, and his brother, Blake. They resided at 622 West Des Moines Street in Brooklyn.
Oh, before I forget, whilst I remember, it's my baby's birthday today. Happy birthday, Leash.
Happy birthday!
Oh, you can't even see it. Hang on.
Happy birthday!
I have to play that when she comes today. 24 today. Bless. Where did the time go? And she's my baby. And that's her And my oldest has just bought her first house. Her first house. Can't even speech. So, yes, lots happening in the Jodie world. All right. Remove that. Add that. Okay. And we're back.
She was also taking care of the dogs while Dalton and Blake were out of town working. They worked construction. Dalton was in Dubuque. Blake was in Ames. Mollie was an avid runner, and she ran cross country and track in high school.
It's beautiful.
On July 18th, 2018, she put on her multicolored neon running shoes and left the house.
Fix that, please. Sorry.
That's better.
Go ahead, Mr. Craig. Sorry about that.
It was customary for Mollie to run in the evenings, and that's what she did on July 18th. And she had her usual routes. One of those routes took her out of town on a gravel road on 385th Avenue. That's the route she took on July 18th, 2018. Shortly before 8 p.m. that night, Christina Stewart was traveling to her parents' farm to tend the horses, and she passed Mollie on that road. Christina Stewart had known Mollie since Mollie was a small child. And Christina Stewart was a hairstylist in town. She'd cut Mollie's hair. She recognized Mollie. And aside from Mollie's killer, Christina Stewart was the last person to see Mollie alive. Mollie didn't show up for work the next day. She worked at a daycare in Grinnell, which was a few miles from Brooklyn. She'd worked there the summer before, and this was unusual for Mollie. She was a no-call and a no-show. Her family hadn't been in touch with her the night before or that morning. Dalton Jack hadn't been in touch with her. And they began to call each other to find out where Mollie was. They began to get worried. And that's when they contacted law enforcement. And that kicked off an exhaustive, intensive investigation spanning nearly 5 weeks. There were hundreds of people involved, volunteers, local law enforcement, fire departments, the DCI, FBI, and even Homeland Security. And they canvassed the entire town of Brooklyn. They searched nearby fields and waterways, ditches, ponds. The sheriff even went up in a helicopter to search some of the local fields. And as the hours turned into days and days into weeks, every lead they pursued came up empty. After 4 weeks, they were no closer to finding Mollie than when they started. But because of the resources and the investigation that the investigation had and the number of agents, one of the things they were able to do was collect the security camera footage and surveillance video from around the time frame and date and area Mollie was last seen. And as the agents meticulously went over this video, on one of the
Hello,
from
sound.
Dalton and Blake Jack on East Des Moines Street, they saw a specter, a silhouette of what appeared to be a jogger in the time and the area Mollie was last seen. As they scoured that video for any other clue as to Mollie's disappearance, they noticed a certain vehicle appearing again and again and again on that video. It was a black Chevy Malibu. Now, that's a common make and model, but this one was unique. This vehicle had non-standard rims, it had chrome door handles, and it had chrome mirrors. And shortly after this vehicle was identified as a vehicle of interest in the case, Powesheik County Deputy and Investigator Steve Kibbe was driving home on Interstate 80 when he saw a black Chevy Malibu with the chrome side mirrors. So he followed that vehicle and he approached the driver when it stopped. Driver didn't speak much English, and so he had the help of a neighbor to speak to the driver. Driver identified himself with the birth certificate as Cristhian Bahena Rivera, the defendant. As Deputy Kivy continued to speak with the defendant, he learned that the defendant worked at Yerby Farms, which was a local dairy farm in Powesheik County, Iowa. Because of the language barrier, Deputy Kivy wasn't able to gain much other information from the defendant. He took pictures of the defendant, he took pictures of the vehicle, and he ended that encounter. Not long after that, law enforcement decided they wanted to speak with the defendant further. And on August 20th, 2018, they went to Yerby Farms to find the defendant, speak with him, and canvass the area. They did find the defendant that day in the afternoon, spoke with the defendant, asked if he'd do an interview, to which he agreed. That interview took place at the Powesheik County Sheriff's Office. Now, the defendant's a native Spanish speaker, and so Pamela Romero, an Iowa City police officer, also a native Spanish speaker, was enlisted to conduct that interview. The interview went on for several hours. They talked about where the defendant was from, who his family was, who his friends and associates were, where he worked. And the defendant admitted at that time that he drove a black Chevy Malibu. He was the only person that drove that black Chevy Malibu.
Hello, sir. Sorry, eating my dinner. Not running late today. How are you, sweetheart? Sorry. Do we all have a good weekend? How are you feeling, Tricia? You starting to feel a little bit better? Yeah. Oh, you haven't missed anything. We've just started, but we're doing a new trial. One from the archives from 2020. Mollie Tibbetts. Enjoy.
And then they started talking about Mollie Tibbetts and what he knew about her disappearance. And at first,
Excellent.
the defendant denied knowing anything about Mollie's disappearance, except what he'd seen around town with the flyers and news reports. And then he was showed a still photograph from that surveillance video. It was then that the defendant relented on his story, and he admitted that he had seen Mollie the night she disappeared. He admitted that he found her attractive, that she was hot, in his words. And he admitted after he saw her.
Did you hear me at the start of this when I did the introduction? I said when I was doing the thumbnail, I thought of Uda Hef because she's a hottie. She's beautiful.
The first time he circled back to take a second look. Early in the morning on August 21st, 2018, Deputy Kivy, Officer Romero, and the defendant went to a cornfield off of 460th Avenue, 2478 in rural Powesheik County, near the Powesheik County and Iowa County line. This particular field had a gate and a long grassy ingress or drive that stretched more than 50 yards into the corn. Defendant was interviewed again at that location, and it was there that he made further admissions. He admitted that he'd seen Mollie the night she disappeared, July 18th, 2018. He admitted that he followed her, that he got out of his car. He admitted to jogging to catch up with her, that he wanted to get close to her. He admitted that Mollie didn't want to have anything to do with him, that she threatened to call the police. And he admitted he became angry at that time. He admitted to fighting with her. And then he says the next thing that he remembers, he's driving in his car, the Malibu, and he notices Mollie's earbuds. and he remembers that Mollie is in his trunk. He admits taking Mollie's body out of the trunk. He admits seeing blood on Mollie's body and neck. He admits putting Mollie over his shoulder. He described the body as someone who had fainted. He admitted taking Mollie into the field, placing her face up, and putting corn stalks on her body, and then leaving. Law enforcement searched the field off of 460th Avenue, and they found a body, decomposed beyond all recognition, wearing multicolored neon running shoes. An autopsy was done of the body. Identity was confirmed as Mollie Tibbetts. Body was examined and determined that Mollie had been stabbed anywhere from 7 to 12 times in the chest, near the ribs, in the neck, and in the skull. The medical examiner determined that the cause and manner of death was homicide by sharp force injury.
Could have picked that.
The defendant's vehicle was searched, the Chevy Malibu, and blood was found on the trunk liner and in the trunk. Analysis was done of that blood, DNA analysis, and it was matched to the DNA taken from the body. It was Mollie's blood in the defendant's Chevy Malibu. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I expect the evidence in this case to show. And when you go back in your deliberations, I'd like you to focus on the three primary aspects of the state's evidence that point to the defendant as Mollie Tibbetts' killer. The first is a video. The video that shows the defendant's black Chevy Malibu in the time and the area where Mollie was last seen. Combine that with the defendant's admissions that he was the only one that drove that vehicle,
where the body was,
and that he was alone that night. Second aspect of the state's evidence for you to focus on is Mollie's blood in the defendant's Malibu. And the third are the defendant's admissions. His admissions that he saw Mollie, that he found her attractive, that he ran alongside her, that Mollie threatened to call the police, that he became angry, that he fought with Mollie, that he drove to the field at 2478 460th Avenue, the field with the gate and the long ingress into the corn, close to the county line, that he remembered Mollie being in the trunk, that his admissions of taking Mollie's bloody body out of the trunk, putting her on his shoulder, taking her into the field, leaving her there, covering her with corn stalks. Ladies and gentlemen, when you examine this evidence together, there can be no other conclusion than that the defendant killed Mollie Tibbetts. And I'll ask you to return a verdict, the only verdict that the evidence demands, that you find the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Claver.
He didn't mention